I've heard the stories since I was a child. Every kid in my village grew up hearing them. You know, tales about the Pichal Peri, the twisted, malevolent spirit that roams the forests at night. They say she looks like a beautiful woman from the front, but her feet are turned backward, and if you are unlucky enough to see her, she'll lure you in, smiling sweetly, before tearing you apart. Some say she eats the flesh of her victims, while others claim she steals their souls, leaving only hollow, empty shells behind. I never believed in those stories. Not really. I mean, I'd grown up hearing them, but in my mind, they were just legends, something the elders told to scare us into staying indoors after dark. It wasn't until I encountered her myself that I realized how wrong I was. It happened a few months ago. I had returned to my village after years of living in the city. My mother had fallen ill, and I had no choice but to come back and take care of her. The village hadn't changed much, same old dusty roads, same quiet nights, and the same airy stories whispered around the fires. One night, after a long day of running errands and taking care of my mother, I went for a walk to clear my head. The village was calm, the only sounds coming from the occasional rustle of leaves in the wind. I wasn't thinking about anything in particular, just enjoying the cool night air, when I realized I had wandered farther than usual toward the edge of the village, near the forest. I should have turned back. The stories about the Pichal Peri always warned against wandering too close to the forest at night. But I was tired, frustrated, and I figured a few more minutes wouldn't hurt. So I kept walking, my footsteps the only sound breaking the silence. That's when I saw her. At first, she was just a silhouette in the distance, standing at the edge of the trees. Her long, dark hair flowed down her back, and she was wearing a bright red sari that stood out starkly against the darkness of the forest. She was facing away from me, but even from a distance, I could see her standing there, unmoving. Something was off. I stopped, unsure of what to do. My gut told me to leave, to turn around, and walk back to the village as fast as I could, but something about her kept me rooted in place. I called out, "Hello." My voice sounded too loud, too out of place in the stillness. She didn't respond. Didn't even flinch. "Do you need help?" I called out again, a little louder this time, but still nothing. I took a hesitant step forward, my heart beating faster now. Something about the way she stood, so unnaturally still, made my skin crawl. And then, as if she heard my thoughts, she moved. Slowly, deliberately, she turned around to face me. My blood ran cold. Her face, God, I'll never forget it. It was beautiful, yes, but in a way that was wrong, too perfect, like a mask of beauty hiding something hideous beneath. Her eyes were dark, almost black, and they locked onto mine with an intensity that made it hard to breathe. But it wasn't her face that terrified me the most. It was her feet. They were facing the wrong way. My stomach lurched as the realization hit me. Pichal Peri. The stories were true. She smiled at me, her lips parting in a way that was both inviting and sinister, as if she knew exactly what I was thinking. And then, slowly, she beckoned me with one hand, her fingers curling in a gesture that sent a chill down my spine. "Run." My brain screamed at me to run, but my legs felt like they were made of lead, frozen in place by fear. I could hear my own heartbeat thudding in my ears as she took a step toward me, her backward feet moving soundlessly over the dirt. That's when I saw the movement behind her. shadows shifting among the trees. They weren't just shadows, though. They were figures. Dark, twisted shapes moving through the forest, circling us. My throat tightened with terror as I realized they were all like her. Pichal Peri, many of them, watching, waiting. The woman in red took another step closer, her smile growing wider, her eyes locked onto mine like a predator's. And then, she spoke. Come closer. Her voice was soft, melodic, but there was something underneath it, something hollow and cold. I finally found the strength to move. I stumbled backward, nearly tripping over my own feet as I turned and ran. My heart pounded in my chest, my breath coming in ragged gasps as I sprinted back toward the village. Behind me, I could hear them, their footsteps, their laughter, following me through the trees. I didn't dare look back. I ran faster than I'd ever run in my life, not stopping until I reached the village. The streets were empty, dark, but I could still hear the sound of the forest behind me, the whispers of the Pichal Peri fading into the distance as I collapsed onto the ground, gasping for air. I didn't sleep that night. I couldn't. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw her face, those black eyes, that twisted smile, her feet facing the wrong way. The next day, I told my mother what had happened. She didn't seem surprised. She just nodded slowly and told me, in a voice thick with warning, "You've been marked." Marked? "They've seen you now," she said. "They'll come again." I didn't believe her at first, but I started noticing things. Strange things. Shadows moving at the edge of my vision, whispers in the wind when I walked near the forest. The nights became unbearable. Every time the sun set, I felt them waiting, watching. Sometimes, I'd catch a glimpse of her, standing at the edge of the village, her red sari glowing in the moonlight. I tried to leave, but it didn't matter. The forest wasn't just at the edge of the village anymore. It was everywhere. They were everywhere. I know I can't escape them. I've seen too much. And now, they're coming for me. I can hear the scratching at my door.